The U.S. launches first weather satellite. Togo gains independence from France. Eric Peugeot, the youngest child of the Peugeot Corporation, was kidnapped in Paris, released after $300,000 ransom was paid. The year is 1960, and this King Midget was brand new. But before getting into all of it, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that takes the time to talk about cars not often talked about. We cover the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, and cars that are frankly being forgotten. We dive in deep with specs, talk the history and design of these rolling works of art. If that sounds like a channel that you will totally dig, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. Midget Motors was a car company that made microcars from 1946 to 1970, founded by Claude Dry and Dale Orcutt. Airplane pilots turned car designers. King Midget was conjured up while flying Civil Air Patrol in World War II. They wanted to design a car that was inexpensive with aircraft construction principles. Think American Saab. Midget Motors didn't sell their cars in the normal way on the dealership lot, rather in ads. The ads weren't that big either. They were about the size of, like, say, a business card. You could find the ads in Popular Mechanics, Carcraft, Cars, just to name a few magazines. They were very much a mail order car, but sold the cars directly to the consumers. Ads would say 500-pound car for $500. They started off selling kits for $270 in 1947. The kit for the early cars supplied everything but the drivetrain. That was extra, but it was set up to take any single-cylinder engine you would want. King Midget was offered in 3 models. Model 1 was introduced in 1947 and had a production run until 1951. It was a single-passenger model. It looked like a miniature race car, for lack of a better term. Only 500 were made. 25 are known to survive. The Model 2 came in 1951, 2-passenger convertible model, could be had as a kit or fully assembled, powered by a 23 cubic inch displacement single cylinder with 7.5 horsepower Wisconsin engine. But this car was pretty basic, with a cable pull to start it, brown plastic seat upholstery. It didn't even have a speedometer or reverse gear. But despite all of that, this was the model that established the reputation of King Midget by being a competent car. Those were its shortcomings. But what I failed to mention is where this car shines. 500-pound car for $500. Ads would claim 50 to 60 miles to the gallon. It could also carry more than its own weight. And it had an unbelievable amount of pulling power, even over difficult terrain. In 1955, a custom model was added, but it would only last until 1957. The custom model had a 2-spoke white steering wheel with bright red and white upholstery, cow parking lights, and chrome bumpers, both front and rear. Before getting into the Model 3, which was, in a lot of opinions, King Midget's best car that they ever made, they also made the Junior, which was a precursor to the go-kart. 72 inches long, 32 inches wide, powered by a 2.5 horsepower Briggs. The Trainer was bigger, 35 inches wide, 72 inches long. It was powered by a 3 horsepower Briggs. Both cars had automatic clutch and geared with reverse. Both Junior and Trainer could be considered roadsters, I suppose. Not much in the way of protection. Notice I didn't say safety. Not much in the way of safety, all things considered, but I bet you if you go down a dirt road 35, 40 miles an hour, I bet you'll feel more alive than anything. You might even kiss the ground after you're finished. The Model 3 was produced from 1957 to 1969. Styling was all new, squared fenders and hood. Looks very similar to a miniature VW thing, in my opinion. And the crazy thing is the Volkswagen thing came afterwards, which is super interesting. So let's compare Model 2 on top. Just for a refresher, Model 2 was made from 1951 to 1957. Some sources vary and say 51 to 55. Model 3, 57 to 70 on the bottom. Starting in the front, 2 different designs, yet similar. I'm more drawn to the Model 2 design, but that's just me. Look at the hood lines. The Model 2 looks like a mix between designs, both Model 1 and 3. It sort of looks like the hood section of the Model 1, Bumpers are different. Model 2 looks narrower than the Model 3, moving to the side profile. This series Model 2 doesn't have doors. Doors would become a thing later, and they were wood. Looking at the rear, it's rounded on the Model 2 versus angles on the Model 3. Spare tire on the rear as an option on the Model 3. Let's talk specs. 117 inches long, 51 inches wide, 76 inches is the wheelbase that it rides on, 670 pounds, price $500, which is equivalent to you spending $5,137.28 in the year 2023. Total King Midgets made over the course of the brand's existence was almost 5,000 units. Total Model 3 was 3,400 units. There's only about 750 known to survive. Moving on to engines. The engine could have been anything that you wanted it to be, but the engine that was in it when it came from the factory assembled Wisconsin single, 23 cubic inch displacement, 9 horsepower, 3,200 RPM, 15 pound-feet of torque at 1,600 RPM with a bore of 3 inches and a stroke of 3.25 inches. It was backed to a 2-speed automatic transmission. Let's talk chassis. Perforated steel. Brakes were 4-wheel hydraulic brakes at all 4 corners. Electric system was 6-volt until 1961, and then it was 12-volt. Frame. Semi-unit body construction. Body and frame were welded together for structural rigidity. Front and rear suspension is strut. Body is made of steel and aluminum. The founders were able to stay independent, which was really hard to do during this time period. But in the mid-60s, the pair were presented with a buyout offer from a group led by Joseph Stalin. They had their own car and a different vision for the company, vastly increased production. Unfortunately, sales didn't follow and was forced to go into bankruptcy in 1969. But that wasn't the end of the story. They ended up moving operations from Athens, Ohio to Gloucester, Ohio, and opened a plant in Florida. A fire happened not long after the plant opened in Florida and killed any expectations of there ever being a car, until some bloke named Skip Weaver started selling King Midget parts as well as whole cars. He trademarked the King Midget name in 2015. So who knows? Maybe one day there will be a Mark IV. Let's talk styling. Look at everything that is going on. You got turn signal indicators, headlights, all of this, bumpers.
Rusty, are you good with parking it underneath there?
Oh yeah. Look at all the lines in the hood.
Transmission's on.
Important to note, this hood does not open. It's a stationary piece. Fenders look very Volkswagen thing. Look at how small these wheels and tires are. It has a mirror that's mounted on the side over here on the hood. Windshield, very small. Windshield wiper mounted at the top. Get the doors, all the different lines. Rear fenders.
Yeah. You're right.
Look at these light situation from this bumper.
No, my friend Bob's going to help me, and then for a short period, I just need one more guy.
So this is what under the hood looks like. The battery back there, it's 6-volt system, generator, everything's like belt drive for the clutch, chain drive for the transmission. Single cylinder, coil on top. This is the gas tank underneath, starter. Super interesting that you can just see how everything is laid out. So let's talk about this door panel. There isn't anything going on. This is the door handle to pull the door shut. Coming down inside the pedal box, and I really mean coming down. Look at this. This is like step down design. This is a handbrake, high beam switch, brake pedal, gas pedal. Isn't a clutch. Just take a look at this interior. Here's what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person over the hood looks like. Up above, there are no sun visors. There isn't even a top. Windshield wiper, motor, rear view mirror. Underneath the steering wheel, there's tons of room. Super basic dashboard. Turn signals, starter button, key, amp meter, speedometer with odometer inside of it. There isn't a glove box in this one. There is a glove shelf that you could stick stuff up on underneath the hood if you'd like. On the positive side, different, cheap, entry-level classic car that's not often seen. Totally different drivetrain. I mean, how many other single-cylinder cars can you think of off the top of your head? Gets great gas mileage. This would be the perfect car if you lived somewhere like maybe in the inner city where everything was like speed limit wise was 40 miles an hour or less. This would be a really good alternative to a golf cart. Let me finish. If you live somewhere, say like Georgia, they drive around golf carts all over the place. Maybe you're in a coastal setting. This would be the perfect car for that. Gets great gas mileage. It's small, so it's easy to park. If the engine goes, you could just go to Harbor Freight and put any single cylinder in there that you wish. There's probably enough space to put a V-twin in there if you wanted a little bit more power, baby. Against it, it's a bit ugly. They are small, and I'm not just saying for physical footprint, but when you're driving it on the road, it's almost like you couldn't take this on a 4-lane highway unless you were if you have balls the size of my head. The equivalent of driving this on the 4-lane highway would be like sitting in a dinghy in the shipping lane. It would be terrifying. Very questionable construction quality. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. 2 scenarios today. In the first scenario, would you rather have a 1949 Crosley Hotshot or 1960 King Midget or 1936 American Bantam convertible? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Moving on to the second scenario. Would you rather have a Model 1 King Midget or a Model 2 King Midget or Model 3 King Midget or Trainer Junior King Midget? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to give both the name of the band and the song title correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of it. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below or check out our Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. If you don't have Facebook and would like to reach me, send me an email. All of that will be linked in the description below. Just know I appreciate all of the support. And until next time, toodaloo!